Okay, hello. Making a video for a Reddit post I saw earlier. Bro came in kind of hot, not gonna lie, but I've seen enough of these kind of posts to know that bro is frustrated by factory, right? Where is it? What is it? I spent, yeah, here, right here. I've no joke been sitting here for 5 hours and rebuilt. Yeah, I've seen this before. If you've been in the factory and you haven't played another factory game, uh, you're having that experience in this game, okay? And that's me. That was me. All right. I'm like, God, man, I'm working on this damn thing and it's not working. Um, that's just how it goes. But I knew bros gonna get lit up. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh, people ain't gonna like this. The title and how he's talking, yeah, they ain't gonna like this. But what I saw is like, this looks like a post for people who I would consider like beginners trying to move up. I don't want to use blueprints. I want to do it myself. I am so in favor of that because this shit is so fun when you do it yourself. There is a kind of reward that comes from this game of like setting up your own zip lines and setting up your own factory that you just cannot get anywhere else. And for a genre like gacha games, these open world gacha games like this game, we would Genshin, where most of the game is just baby easy, it's fantastic to have something outside of combat that really gets complicated and allows for so much expression and flexibility. And I'm so in love with it that like it's 4 in the morning. I can't sleep. I'm making a video about it. All right, so that's my intro. I'm a yapper, so I got to keep it short on how much I'm gonna yap. Let's talk about things that could help. First thing I think it can help is a couple factory sims. Okay, so this is the first one, but like I don't recommend this one. It's hard to wrap your mind around what's going on here. But it's just an option that you can have. Enfield factory sim.dev. Okay, so you might use this one later. I don't use it. I just don't need to yet. But I need to dig my teeth into it because there's something cool going on here that I haven't quite figured out yet. So that's one. The second we'll look at is Enfield tools. Create factory. What I like about this one, and this is the one I started out using, is that you can run this bad boy to see if it works. Like that's probably my favorite thing, because if you're very unsure about your factory, like I was for a long time, having the factory run is really cool. Let me show you. Where's mine at? What about old ones? Oh god, is this it? The 1.1 section megabase? Oh my, come on, bro. Give me my actual stuff that I did. Oh, I have to go to file, sorry. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's do this one. Yeah, so if I hit like the animation, I think it begins running, and then it starts showing you everything coming out of depots and everything working, and it's really cool. Right? Like there's a sand leaf. Where is my powder? We should start seeing like dense originium, I think, coming through. We see it moving over here. So this is really useful. There it is. There's the powder moving. So now you can see the blocks coming in. It's really useful to see like, okay, where's my factory? Is this going to work? Right? Like when I make this, is it going to work? That was a huge thing I have ran into a ton of like, is this going to work? You know? I believe it's working. I don't know what this exclamation is for, but this is a good one for that. I really like this one for that. It has a bit of a learning curve to it. If you run into problems with this, I guess let me know and I'll do a video about what I know of how to use it. But and like it still is kind of janky. Like, see, it's not even working here. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. I think this one has to be like start item or something, but whatever. So that's Enfield tools. You can use that one. My preferred one is NCAD. Don't let this basic setup confuse you. We're working with some crazy shit in NCAD. This ain't got none of my new stuff in it. It has this, but I already put this up. But anyway, so it has a lot of, what I like about this is so much easier to visualize and see what you're doing because it kind of uses the pictures of the buildings and the colors and what it should be doing. I would recommend using any of these 3 instead of tearing down your base constantly. It's so much easier to just do this and be like, oh, that doesn't work. I don't like the way that looks, and just delete both of them. right? And it has a little key down here about what does what and all that. But that's a way to save a lot of time and resources. And frustration is when you can just be like, I don't like any of this, F, and then undo, right? Oh, I did like that, undo. It doesn't have a long undo. I think it's like 10 actions or something, but it's enough, right? So highly recommend using something like NCAD or Enfield tools to help you build. There is a site that I have, but it's kind of weird. I haven't gone too far into it, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But there is one called Enfield Calc that you can use to help you know what you need. But I don't know. I need to sit down and work with it some more to know how it works. Like if we're looking at buck powder, it tells you what you need, right? It just puts out one belt of this. It needs 10 of these, but it doesn't tell you what 10 of these are, right? See, that's the only thing I think is a kind of a problem. To some degree, I think it actually does kind of tell you what you need. Like 8 Ferium ore belts, 4 planters, seed pickers. So 4 seed pickers and then what? 8 planters? But see, it doesn't tell you 8 planters. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It helps somewhat, but it can be kind of confusing. So it's here. You can look into it, but just be aware it's kind of weird. It's like even this, I know this is correct. You need 6 sandleaf powder total. But anyway, that's just one way. I'll be honest with you. The way I did it was I did this. I had to sit down and write out everything I needed and how many like buildings should go to what. And then I did not know about Enfield tools and I did not know about NCAD for a long time. So I put all these down in my factory and arranged them in the way that I knew what I would need, right? So this was like WC battery, right? So that was actually this thing. That is the first tier battery. What the hell is WC? Why did I type WC? Oh, I meant SC actually. Then that's SC. That's this one, the big one, right? Yeah, you need 4 planters, seeders, because you need 10 shredders and 4 grinders. Yep. And I think this is for double. I was doing a double. Yep, because you need zircon, you need 5 zircon, and all this shit. No, this is single. This is a singular. So I did this, and that really helped too. That just helped me get started. Now I can kind of just see what I need. Like I know this is 1 every 5, and this is like you need 4 to get this. Because of this, right? This is the most important thing. I'll be honest with you. If you're looking to do this little thing right here is so important. This tree thing is freaking awful, man. This thing sucks. This is awful. So if you're like, oh my god, what all do I need to make something? I would go to each like I would see these two. I would write them down of like dense iridium powder. 2. It's 2 seconds to get one, and I need 2 of this and 2 of this. What is this? Well, I know what that is. That's like shredded powder or iridium powder or something, and then sandleaf powder, right? Okay, what? How do I get that? You know, I would just keep going down the line and writing this all down. Click on it, view database. That's how much I need or get or something, right? So I would do that. It's tedious, but doing proper preparation and planning for your factory saves you a fuck ton of headache from when you're trying to build. So that when you're trying to build, the only thing you're worried about is correcting anything you may be missing, or anything that you may have overlooked in the planning process, right? Instead of like, holy shit, how many buildings do I need? Like, how do I know I need 4 cuprium to make the Hetonite, right? I just know. I've been doing this too long. And by too long, I mean for a couple of months the game came out, but and I didn't even start factory when the game came out. I was like, what the hell is this? I really like it though. I like seeing it. You know what got me doing factory? I like seeing these things on the belt. I like watching them move through the factory. So so that's some tools. Let's talk about mindset. We're not gonna start here in Markerstone. This is too much. Let's start in Jingu Valley. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to think about factory. I can only tell you about my way. I'm still not the most experienced, so I don't know past that. My way of doing factory is to break down the components. Okay, so there's a couple things that like every factory is going to need. You're gonna need plants. like there's a meme a long time ago, not a long time ago, like 2 months ago, especially when we got the Wuling before people found out about the water plants making double carbon when you shred them. That was like, it's all sand leaf. Like the whole factory's propped up by sand leaf. Hey, buddy, always has been. You know, the moon, right? The astronaut. But then we found out it's not all sand leaf. Thank God, because I hated working at sand leaf and Wuling in Valley 4. But the first thing I will say, break down your factory into chunks, okay? Some people will tell you, do modular, do this. No. You will grow into that style if that's what you want, okay? Because your whole factory doesn't have to be modular. Some parts can be modular, some parts don't have to be, okay? So your initial is to not try and do all the fancy shit you're seeing people do, okay? I have spent hours in this freaking factory to learn to somehow come to this. This is the culmination of my factory. It's not, I'm just joking. But you're seeing the end result. People aren't showing you the hours they spent working on this and working in NCAD and the 8 billion different versions I have in here of different things to try and figure out how I'm going to use it and the different permutations, wow, the different versions. All right, you're seeing the end result, and then you're going to have people tell you use blueprints. Okay, that's not helpful if you're trying to learn. You stay in the trenches and do your thing. But anyway, sorry, I'm ranting. And I'll be yelling. I get it. I get hype. So, the first thing I'll say, break down the factory. What are the essentials that every factory needs? Boy, you need some plants. You're always going to need plants. Always going to need plants, okay? This was a big thing for me because I freaking hated trying to work with plants into a factory. They're so awkward. The 3x, the 1, 2, 3 of the sand leaf, the 1, 2 with water pipes are in a weird spot. That's what, like, that's what this 1.1 blueprint was. Let me go back. This was my first attempt to break down the to break down the factory and plan it. Oh my God. I'm sorry. This guy. To break down the factory into chunks, right? This is, I don't know, where's my finished version at? Probably the one labeled finished that I saw earlier. I think this might be it. Yeah, there it is. So like this guy, right? So this was my first attempt to break down. Okay, actually this is a better example than what I have in game, I'll be honest with you. The first thing I did was planters, right? All this sand leaf, all these two setups of water plants. Like I planned out what I would need. Every Hetonite needs, what is it, 2 sand leaf or some shit? No, I don't think it needs sand leaf. Yeah, needs 1 sand leaf. So you break this down into 1. So you just like draw a line here, right? So I need 2 sand leaf powder. I need, so work back. Actually, I like working backwards. So if I want 1 Hetonite, I need 2 of these stabilized carbon. Okay, what does 1 stabilized carbon need? It needs 1 dense, I think this is dense carbon block. Okay, what does 1 carbon block, actually, and I do it like by building too. So I need 1 Forge of the Sky equals 1 Hetonite. I need 2 stabilized carbon. 1 comes from the refinery, and it's every 2 seconds, which matches up with this 2 seconds, right? So timing can be a thing, but not yet. You'll see this more in Hetonite. Alright, so that's 2 of them. Or, I'm sorry, 1 every 2 seconds, but I need 2 of them to make 1 of these. Alright, so I know I need 2 buildings. So I write down 2 refinery units, stabilized carbon. Well, each stabilized carbon needs 1 dense carbon block, and that comes from a grinder. Okay, what does that need? It needs 2 shredded carbon powder, right? Okay, where does that come from? It comes from the shredding unit, and the shredding unit makes 2 carbon powder for 1 carbon. Okay, where does carbon come from? Right, you see how this is going? Okay, it comes from, I think this is a refinery. This is a shredder. This is a refinery. Yeah. Okay, it comes from a refining unit. Click the recipe. I forgot this is on here. 1 Jinkow or Yazan gives 2. Okay, those 2 can go into the 2 refineries. I see. I don't need 2 refineries. It's making 2. right? And then it goes up, 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 right? Technically, this is excess because you only need one. No, you need two. Well, you need one shredder to get your carbon powder, but I'm kind of yapping. So that's what stuff like this is for. This is impromptu, so I hope you're just following along. It's kind of yappy, but I'm trying to help. And it's 4 in the morning. 4:20 now. Hey, 4:19. This is the kind of stuff that helps. So, this is stuff you probably kind of get, because it sounds like I was talking directly to the guy from the Reddit post, but for any of y'all, you've probably been doing Wuling or Valley 4 in some way if you're at this stage, and this is more Valley 4 stuff, right? And the fluids here is still kind of easy, right? Like, put some water into the plant, put some water in. Oh, whoops. But things start getting kind of wild. Things got wild when Cuprium came into play and Zircon came into play. Because now we got sewage and shit, right? So this is... Let's move on. So this is kind of what I want to get to. But we're not going to go to it now. Okay? We're still talking about sectioning the base. Which you might be like, Senna, what the fuck are you talking about? You just went across a whole other thing. I did. I didn't do belts here. Wow. Where are the belts at? So if I did plants first, right? Now you got to figure out how many plants you need, but okay, sure. If each one, you know you only need one refinery making plants for Forge of the Sky because you work backwards, then you know you need one Yazan production. One Yazan production, right? One of your Yazan productions. Well, if you got 4 Forges of the Sky, you need 4 of them. That's it. That's how you do it. You know you need 4 of them, right? Now, the thing about the factory is once you get this kind of knowledge of like, oh, I got Forge of the Sky, I need one Wuling planter and 1 sand leaf per forge, then it becomes easier, right? You have some knowledge to get lodged in your brain. Okay, well now I just double all that. All right, I know double it. I want to make 2, I double it. I want to make 3, triple it. I want to make 4, quadruple it, right? So you don't have to worry about the excess sand leaf powder. Who gives a shit if you got excess sand leaf and this is clogging? Don't worry about that, all right? Because sand leaf can ruin your brain. I'm trying to do this. Get your stuff working. Worry about efficiency and aesthetics later. So let's come back to here. So I sectioned all of this off into the plants being all in Jingu, right? And this setup is a little more than the daisy chain you'll see a lot of people do. Do what you can, okay? You don't need to make this thing. You need to get planters sending stuff into a protocol stash or a depot loader or your pack, right? When you break it down, it becomes a lot easier. So you just say, I need 4 of these. I will arrange 4 planters and go. And if it fucks up later and it's in the way and you can't do it, then you rearrange it later and move on with your day, right? Don't get stuck on the implementation phase or trying to be efficient when you're just trying to get it working. Getting it working and understanding how you're going to get it working is more important. So let's look at Wuling City for a second. Now, Wuling City looks complicated. This is actually a really simple build. And when I say simple, I mean in the overall, okay? So this looks like a lot, but it's not. You can actually break this down into different parts. I actually have this, I think, in my thing here. Yeah. All right, so this is an older version of this build in CAD, right? So I made this and I did a 1-to-1. But in this, you might notice there's a level of symmetry to this thing, right? You split it down the middle, and it's a reflection on one axis. It's not a direct symmetry because of the water pipes, but it's because I do this one at a time. So I just made some Forge of the Skies to see. I'm sorry, I'm coming back to the game. I made some 1 or 2 Forge of the Sky little modular sections that I could put along this wall, because that's kind of where I started. It was like a long wall. I knew I wanted to use both sides of a wall, the depot bus, right? That's where I started at. And then when I made it, I just copy and pasted it. Like this can get copied and paste. And paste. Like against the wall. You see the depot loaders are there? Against the wall, right? That's how I did that. That's how I started. Okay, so this might be confusing, but again, it's now broken up. You figured out how many plants you need. Now you come and say, okay, there's my plants are being made and going to the depot. Let me pull them out and arrange them in some way. Okay, so I would start with something more like this. I put it down, and like I make sure to check every freaking time. It would be something like this, actually. Okay, so I know I need my refining unit because I wrote all of this down, or I'm using the factory tools, and then that's going to give me 2 shredders, right? I'm gonna need 2 shredders, and then I'll need 2 grinding units. I just think I did like vertical like that, but whatever. And then I need 2 more refining units. And then I have the Forge of the Sky, right? This is what I would do. And turn this off. And this off. And this off. I would do this kind of thing, right? And then I would come in here and I would check it over and over and over and over because I couldn't stop. Like, okay, there's my Jincal, there's my 2 carbon. Okay, this one gets 1 carbon and it gives you 2 powder. Okay, so that gets routed into here. This one is for this one. This shredding unit goes into this grinding unit. Okay, then I get my 2 carbon powder and 1 sand leaf, so dense carbon. Okay, so now I gotta do another side for sand leaf, right? So, okay, I just need a shredding unit. And I'll place this here. And that's for these 2, right? Because I need sand leaf powder. Where do I get sand leaf powder from? Shredding unit, right? And it gives 3. Alright, so I think you get all that, but it's for anyone else that might come into the video. So and then you just finish off with, okay, that goes to the refining unit. There's my stabilized carbon that comes with the dense carbon powder. And then it goes into the Forge of the Sky, and I need water. Alright, now water is... Fluids are not bad, in my opinion. They're just confusing at first. So they are bad, in my opinion. Big things about fluids. Water pumps and acid pumps. One pump supplies 2 buildings. All right. This one pump brings up 1 water a second every 1 second. Forge of the Sky uses 1 water every 2 seconds. Thus, 1 pump can supply 2 facilities. But this is easier to see in Marker Stone. So let's go to Marker Stone because I'm kind of making this for you at this point. I didn't make a different one for somebody else. Let's go to Marker Stone. This is where it's going to get confusing for you. But again, we're going to break it into sections rather than one giant production line. Okay, that's what I did here in this base. This isn't a good example. Because this is more of an advanced thing I did. But let's use an inkcat I made. Please tell me I have one of the old ones somewhere that I can edit. This guy? Ah, it's upside down. Okay, this will work. Okay, so this setup looks complicated, right? You see all this going on over here. Actually, I can use this because this is in-game. We'll use the cuprium. We'll do cuprium. Because this is how to make Hetonite, right? So let's talk about how to make Hetonite, which I should have just did in a separate video, or just did as the video, but here we are. With Hetonite, let me close this. Okay, so with Hetonite, there's a couple things going on, alright? Again, to me, the best thing is to start at the end and work backwards, alright? So, Hetonite comes out of the expanded crucible. Now, the crucible, the reactor crucible in general can fuck with your brain. I didn't understand this thing at all when I first started. This thing is brilliant. And you got this purification unit. How do I do all this? I think it actually starts, so it starts here. Again, I don't need to plan it out in the same way, but work with where you're at. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, Hetonite needs what? Hetonite needs 2 red blood and 1 farium powder. Oh, that's my recording. Alright, well, let me start there. Hetonite. 2 red stuff, 1 barium powder. Alright, now barium powder, that should be a pretty easy one, right? That's a barium. That's going to be barium into a refinery into a shredder. And you get 1 for 30 a minute. Alright, I just wrote that down for now for myself, but you know, you just know you're going to need a refinery and a shredder and an output of barium. Alright, now I look at this and I'm like, what is this red stuff? Again, you probably have to go to formulas. It wouldn't show up on the thing. You have to go in here, right? So Hetonite production fluid. Okay, I guess I get sewage runoff, but whatever. How do I make this thing? Okay, I need 4 red blood. Okay, what the fuck is red blood? 4 red blood. I'm gonna call this pure blood. Pure blood red stuff. I need 4 red blood into purification unit. Don't get debated by the separating unit. This shit don't matter right now. Okay, well, if I need that in a purification unit, where does this come from then? Oh, reactor. Expanded crucible, reactor crucible. It comes from 1 cuprium powder and 1 acid fluid. Okay? Where do I get that from? So this would be like 1 expanded reactor. And then tab is too far. Oop. Something like that. Some kind of indentation to push it forward. I ended up doing this. Where's the other one I did? Oh, God, not that. I ended up doing something more like this. This was really helpful for doing zircon. This is what I did for zircon, but we'll come back to this. Okay, so I know I need 1 expanded reactor, and then I is 1 I'm gonna call it cuprium solution, because at this point, if you're looking at this, you're like, oh, that's cuprium solution. So 1 expanded reactor gives me 1 cuprium solution, but it needs 1 cuprium powder and 1 acid fluid. Okay, acid fluid. You just have to know it comes from the acid pump. All right, and we know from water 1 pump equals supplies 2 facilities, right? Okay, so with that in mind, where does cuprium come from? Cuprium powder come from? All right, let's take a look. So I'm gonna go to the expanded crucible, click on formulas, and click on this up here, right? This is where you would know how you get precipitation acid, but you said you did the tutorial. People have to do tutorials or you're gonna get... If you don't do tutorials in this game for factory, you're already getting fucked on, and like, don't be lazy. You have to sit through it, or find another guy's video. Anyway. Okay, well, it comes from a shredding unit. Shredding unit. It needs 1 cuprium, right? When you click on it, oop. You click on this. Don't click in this, man. This thing fucking sucks. You just go. You click on. Sorry. When you click on this, you see it says shredding unit. You just go to put a shredding unit down or go to one you have. Okay, shredding unit. Click on the formulas. Okay, it comes from, click on this, click on cuprium. It comes from a refining unit that needs water and cuprium ore. So now we're down to the resource, right? 1 cuprium. 1 cuprium comes from a refining unit. It needs 1 cuprium ore, 1 clean water. Now we know how to get clean water, and we know how to get cuprium ore already, right? But it gives 1 cuprium, 1 sewage. Alright, now, what do you do with sewage? Because sewage is a big problem for a lot of people. Okay, click on your refining unit, click on your recipe, and click on sewage and be like, hey, what can I do with this? It says cannot discharge. But you read. Reading is fundamental. Sewage is basically water with all sorts of suspended and dissolved materials. It must be processed at a water treatment unit to render it harmless. Okay? Does it have it in here? No, it doesn't show it in here. Okay, now, water treatment unit. If you've done your AIC tutorials or you have been paying attention in somewhat, you know there's a building called the water treatment unit, all right? And the water treatment unit, you put it down. And you know how to use this, I'm pretty sure. I think you've been doing this already, but you use your water treatment unit, right? Okay, now, let's go back up our pipe, because, hey, I finally wrote down needs and gives, but Hetonite said the same thing. So in my one expanded reactor of Hetonite, because I didn't write that down, right? It needs... I didn't write this right, see? It needs 4 cuprium solution. And I think that's it. But it gives 1 pure blood red stuff, 1 sewage. Okay? Now, I'll get, yeah. I kind of did out of order because this is what Hetonite needs, actually. Hold on, I did it wrong. Hold on. Let me back up. I got a little ahead of myself. So this is what it needs, is 2 pure blood red stuff and 1 ferrium powder, right? I should write this out differently, but let me do this. I'll just get rid of it. It gives 1... What does it give? 1 Hetonite and 1 sewage. Okay, now off of just this, you know you're going to need at least 1 water treatment unit, right, to deal with this sewage. You're going to need at least 1. But now we can start doing needs and gives. So now I do this. 1 purification unit. 4, it needs 4 cuprium solution. Because at this point you should know in your mind, not you should know, you're going to start knowing that this is happening in 2-second chunks. Now it gets weird like in this event when you're getting like 2 every 20 seconds, which is still 1 every 10 seconds. But you can think of that as a 6 a minute. Take that number and divide it by 60 to get your minute, right? So 20 seconds. This 20 seconds is weird. Let's use 10. Where's the 10-second one? This one. So like 10 seconds. You need 1 every 10 seconds. You get 1 every 10 seconds. There's 10 seconds. I'm sorry. 6 10 seconds in 60 seconds. So this is 6 a minute. You need 6 of these a minute. You need 6 of this. You get 6 a minute. All right. So that's how you think of it. That's why this works out, because this is also 6 a minute. It's just multiplied by 2 on the 10-second chart. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to this. So we know we have to deal with sewage. We know we have to do some kind of sourcing of acid and some kind of sourcing of clean water. But let's keep writing this out. All right. So now I know this is what I need. And what does it give? Gives. It gives me Hetonite solution and acid. Now, something I didn't talk about, but I'm going to bring it up now, but I won't focus on it, is that I told you this formula wrong, actually. It actually needs 2 Hetonite solution. Well, I did say it, but I didn't talk about it. But you only get 1. So, oh man, I'm only going to work at half efficiency? Yes. Yes, you are. And right now, that's how people get 4.5. You got to set up a whole second one. We're not going to talk about that. It actually might be easy to use that, but I'm not going to. So, you have, like, for this example, I'm not going to go too far into it. We're just capped on cuprium, so just stay in the 3 a minute. All right, that's when I work at half production. But the main thing is, you're like, oh, this is 4. Pipes can only move 2 a second, or 4 every 2 seconds, so 4 build. Slow down. I gotta slow down. I'm sorry. Let's continue here. So you got one purification unit. You need cuprium solution. Where does cuprium solution come from? One of them comes from an expanded reactor. Go back to your expanded reactor. Open the formula. What do I need? Okay, I need one cuprium powder. Needs one cuprium powder. I don't think this is a good way to do this. I actually prefer to do it like in like lists. I'm a list fiend, baby. You haven't seen my document. You know I love a good bulleted list. Can I do it like that? Would that be easier? Can I make all this into like a bulleted list? Alright, you gotta sit through this for a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, so something more like this, right? So, so it needs... Yeah, this looks a lot better. And then it gives... And then needs... And gives. Okay, I don't like the bullets, but whatever, it'd have to just work. I like the dashes. These bullets look weird in this thing. Alright, anyway, so one purification unit, it needs 4 cuprium solution. It gives 1 hetonite solution, 1 acid. Expanded reactor. I should do this though. Purification from purification unit, right? That's what I should do. From, or I do the arrow, but you can type from or arrow, but we'll say from purification unit for that one, and then from shredding unit, right? Gives 1 hetonite, 2 that's like the production, and then 2 water treatment unit. This is actually a little bit more helpful. That's helping me. Okay, so we start at here. The we'll say 1 expanded reactor. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, now how do I want to do this part? Maybe something like this. Maybe like 2 pure blood. How do I? What's a better way to do this? We'll just say pure blood. What is it called? Hetonite solution. And in parentheses, pure blood. And let's indent all of this. Okay, or that. Oh, that's like that. Okay, good. So we'll do the same thing here. All right. So this is my hetonite solution, aka pure blood. And we'll say 1. Right? That gives me 1. I need all this to get 1. Okay? So then I would look at this and say I need 1 expanded reactor. It needs 2 pure blood red stuff for a purification unit. 1 ferrium powder. I'll do this though. 1 hetonite solution. I called it pure blood red stuff for a long time. Okay, so now I say needs... I'm gonna do this. Too many words. This is easier to me. It's just saying what building it comes from or goes to. If it's in the needs, that's what the building it comes from. If it's in the gives, that's the building it goes to, right? So needs 4 cuprium solution. Reactor. Expanded reactor, right? We'll say expanded. Gives 1 hetonite solution to reactor and 2 where the hell do we do an acid? We'll come back to that. Okay, so now we look and we say, okay, how do I get cuprium solution? 1 cuprium solution, right? Red blood or blood. Okay, it comes from 1 reactor, 1 expanded reactor. Now I got ahead of myself because we went I'm doubling back. While you're doing all this, right, you're like, oh, cuprium solution in here. Where does this come from? Reactor crucible, right? You write this down, or I wrote down expanded, right? Then you go to your expanded crucible and you click on your formulas and you see it here. Needs, gives, all right? It's in an expanded reactor. Needs 1 cuprium powder. 1 cuprium powder, 1 acid. Gives 1 cuprium solution, blood. Now you can write this however you want, right? I call it just blood because that makes sense to me. Again, where is it? So I'm looking at this. Where does cuprium powder come from? Well, shredding unit. We just like shredding unit, right? Shredding unit. Where does acid come from? Acid pump. Lake. Where does my cuprium solution blood go? That goes to the purification unit, right? We just came from there. No, that's where we needed to go, right? That's the building we were using, because that's what makes Hetonite solution. Okay, but we need 4 of these. We need 4. So this needs to be quadrupled, right? But we're not going to worry about that yet. Don't worry about that yet. We're just figuring out how to get one line going. So now, we come down again. Alright. Cuprium powder. 1 cuprium powder. Needs. Oh, hold on. We didn't do building. So we gotta do building first. So, oh man, how do I make cuprium powder? Go to your reactor crucible, click on your formulas, click on cuprium powder, shredding unit. Shredding, 1 shredding unit. Alright, let's go. What does your shredding unit need? Open your formula. It needs 1 cuprium. 1 cuprium. And what building does that come from? Refining unit. And that's all it needs, right? And it gives 1 cuprium powder, which goes to the expanded crucible. Okay? Well, now we also have the acid, right? So do we do acid or do we do cuprium powder next? We do acid. So 1 acid. Actually, not acid. We finish out the cuprium powder. So 1 cuprium. Where does cuprium come from? You're already in here. Or go to your refining unit, right? Yeah. And click on recipe. How do I get cuprium? Okay. I need a refining unit. 1 refining unit. Needs 1 cuprium ore, 1 clean water. It gives 1 cuprium, 1 sewage. Okay? Now, if you're looking at this, once again, you're like, this comes from the world. We'll just say cuprium deposit in world. And 1 clean water comes from the water pump lake, right? Cuprium is going to the shredding unit. Sewage, we know, because we used our eyes and read, and we did a tutorial. So 1 sewage goes to a water treatment unit, okay? Now, you might notice there's 2 things that need sewage here, right? So if you were to make just one of this, 1/4 of a line, you would put down your water treatment unit, and if you're paying attention, let me not say paying attention, when you become aware, that's a better way to put it. When you become aware, you're like, hey, wait, what's this thing's formula? It makes 1 every 2 seconds, or it deals with it of 1 every 2 seconds, right? But hey, this building also makes 1 sewage every 2 seconds. And didn't I need it up here for something too? Oh, this one needs one. It makes 1 every 2 seconds. Okay? So before you account for only getting half Hetonite, you're like, oh yeah, this needs it. So every building at full production, and until you know better, you treat it as if it needs its own water treatment unit. Okay? So let's continue. So now okay, so last thing we need to do. I feel like this clean water and the acid is kind of like whatever, but I'm going to put them down anyway. So we'll say 1 acid. 1 acid Mark II pump. Needs... I won't say what it needs, but it gives 1 acid. Alright, and then 1 clean water. 1 water pump gives 1 water. Alright, they don't really have a need, so I'm not going to write that down. Now, you're looking at this, you're like, this is everything I need, right? Did I get everything? Did I get everything? Nope, we forgot ferrium powder. See? It's that easy to forget it. So what we'll do is we'll come... This is what I did the table for, but I'm not going to bring up this table. But we'll say... we'll do this. Alright, so we'll say... 1 ferrium powder. We know it's from a shredding unit, because all powder comes from a shredding unit. So I'd go to a shredding unit, click the recipes, and say, okay, it comes from ferrium. Needs 1 times ferrium. Gives 1 times ferrium powder. And this is going into the expanded reactor. And the shredding unit, the needs ferrium, the ferrium is coming from a refining unit, right? We come in here and we hover over it, or click on it, refining unit. All right, now I think by this point you know where ferrium comes from. I don't think I need to explain that, but you know, we're going to write it down anyway, just for consistency. We'll write it down anyway, right? So we'll say 1 ferrium comes from a refining unit. We just saw that, and it needs 1 ferrium ore, right? Bro. Oh, God, I did shift enter. Here we go. Gives 1 ferrium powder. Where does the powder go? To the shredding unit. Where does the ore go? Or come from? Zawald. Ferrium deposit. Alright. World. So we don't have to worry about that. So, this is another way to do it. Or not another way, but this is one way to do it, right? I could also put like dashes to kind of help me understand where I'm at. I don't always do that though. But I believe we have everything, right? So now we have 1 line of all this. 1 line that can make this. So just for my eyes, cuprium into the cuprium ore into cuprium powder into a reactor. That mixes with acid and gives me the blood that I send up to a purification unit that gives me the pure blood that I run into another crucible, right? Because I wouldn't do 2 crucibles. I would just, for right now, I would do a separate one. And then I combine that with a ferrium powder, right? I would do a ferrium powder. So it would actually, I would do something like this. What is this? What is this? What was I working on here? Alright, I don't care. So let's do it here. So let's say... Now, we have everything. We have all this, right? So I have all this. You're like, oh, man, I got it all. How do I put it together? So this is what I mean by, instead of tearing your shit down, do it in here. So you come in here, you sound like depot bus section. We're not going to use a little puck. We're just going to do that example here. Oh, actually, not this. Not this. Not this. Okay, so I have this. I have my notepad. I probably got some jams running, right? Probably this is my 40-year-old divorced dad / cool uncle playlist versus cool uncle playlist. So I got Creed on the back and Nickelback. But I'm looking at this now and I say, okay, I start from the top. Expanded crucible. And then you click on it, select recipe. This helps you remember what you're trying to make. So this one is this recipe. This is coming out of here, right? Then it puts it on here for you. When you click on it, you can see it in the left. Then I see purification unit. Okay, I put down my purification unit. I select my recipe. What else do I need? A shredding unit. Oh, I keep doing it in game. Hold on, let me do this. It's gonna keep throwing me off. Damn, this is already an hour long. Oh my god. What am I talking about? Like I don't know. It's always gonna be super long. Okay, so then I'd say, all right, I have my ferrium powder, so a refining unit, right? Or a shredding unit. I'm sorry. So shredding unit. Then I see I need a refining unit. Put those next to each other, right? And I'd put this kind of like this. Because I know the reactor needs all of this. So it look kind of more like this. Right? All of these go together. That's one set. So then I'd also know, okay, I look at my notepad and say, okay, now I need to make the cuprium solution that goes into this thing. So that is a expanded reactor. Then it's also a shredding unit for the powder, which needs a refining unit. Oh, I need to reverse this. So it'll be like that. Which needs a refining unit. And then the water pumps. So there's my acid pump. There's my fluid pump. Alright. And then come back in here again and click on your recipes. I meant to do that earlier. So do that. Shredding unit is cuprium. Refining unit is cuprium. Or that's cuprium shred. Cuprium powder, then cuprium. And then do it over here as well. Set your ferrium and your ferrium. Wait, not that. That. There you go. Like that. Okay? So these are, when you're looking at this, now you actually, these are all the buildings you need. Oh. Or is it? Because I didn't do one thing. What do you do with sewage? What do you do with sewage? Right? We didn't account for that. See, you can miss one thing and it fucks everything up. But we caught it, right? So we'll add this down here with the fluids. So this is what I'll do. Fluids. Because they're kind of their own thing, right? So one sewage. Let me put some space in here. Goes to one, or we'll just do this. One water treatment unit required. All right, that's what we'll do. So we caught ourselves before we messed up, and we know we need one water treatment unit for this refining unit. And this also needs one water treatment unit, this expanded crucible. So we'll put it like there, right? Because it kind of comes out of it a little separately. So now we have all our buildings. These are all the buildings we need to make Hetonite. Fucking hour to get here, man. Jesus. So now we'd say, okay, let's arrange them in some way. All right, so I do something like this. What you want to do is kind of simulate it as to how you do it in game, right? So I kind of work from bottom to top a lot. So that's how I'll do it, right? So I'll just put some of these down, copy, and then put like another row and just do that, right? Then I'd move all of these down and kind of start building, all right? So I know I'm working from here first. So let's do a refining unit, and that needs a depot unloader, right? And you can click on this, and on the little box right here, you see if you click on the box, it'll give you all your stuff. So I would put in cuprium ore and make the belt. Then I take my shredding unit and just connect it, right? And then I would take this fluid pump and just do this. Put it next to it. Oh, is it on this side? Yeah, connect it like that. And then you take your water treatment and connect it like that. And it turns the color when you do it right, which is really nice. Then you take your crucible and set it here, and your powder goes in. Right? And you take your Mark II thing, and you connect that in. And you have to click on the port to set it, if you have something coming out, or on the left side to say what's coming out of which port. Alright, so like, oh, okay, we got cuprium working now. This thing doesn't always work to tell you that it's working correctly. I don't know how to do it. Oh, the daily hit it. But, I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. So let's move this out of the way. That's one cuprium done, right? So let's do this side. Depot unloader, Farium, choose Farium ore, connect, and then shredding unit, connect. And when you do something like this, so if you didn't have this recipe selected, let me do this. If you didn't have a recipe selected, when you connect this belt, it will automatically fill it in for you. Very nice. All right, and then we know we have the expanded crucible, which needs Farium powder, right? We can see it in here. And then, oh, let me move this over a little bit. Then you have your water treatment unit, right? And you're like, oh, I am getting sewage out of here, so I'll set one of these to sewage, right? Go back to our chart. It gives sewage connected to the water treatment unit. Okay, and then I take my purification unit, and now these things have set. The ports are set, so you kind of got to do this first to see what comes out of there. All right, so that's the acid. That's the not acid. So we know we want this pink one going back in, right? So we'll do something like this. Actually, I'll do it like this because it's going to be kind of funky if I don't. Whoa, 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 that's funky. Like that, right? And you set on the port Hetonite. Hetonite out. And just for this example, we'll do a protocol stash. We'll just say here's a protocol stash, right? Okay. Yeah. So we're not dealing with this fluid yet, but I'll talk about this in a second. But for right now, what we'll do... how do I want to do that? Yeah, I'll keep it up here. Let's now we know, okay, the purification unit needs what? It needs cuprium solution ×4, but I only have one of these. Okay, we're not going to worry about that yet. What we'll do is move this over. Oh, didn't mean to grab that. And we'll draw this pipe up because this is the blood we need to go in. Bam. Right? Kind of easy. Once you break it down, kind of easy. It only took me 30 minutes to explain it as I fumbled through this whole explanation. But hey, you're here with me now. Listen to me yap. Maybe. But there we go, right? So now we have this done. But we need 4 of these to make one. So in this scenario, because we're using this simulator, let's close down a little space. Let's make a little space here. So we'll kind of just put these next, like, a little closer, right? And then you Control C and you paste and paste and paste and paste. All right, and now it already looks funky. Okay. So you know your base needs something like this, right? Doesn't have to be next to each other, but something like this. And on top of that, something we can look at now is, hey, we talked about fluid pumps and acid pumps. One pump can supply 2 buildings, so we can kind of do this now. Oops, excuse me. we can say that this shares between the two, right? And this shares between the two. Right, so you want to illustrate it just so you can see it, right? So you could just run a pipe or put it in front, but I think it's better to do something like this. Water in and water in, right? And then instead of, we'll just do this. Just copy it, right? So now we see we have a very crude setup, but we got something set up, right? It's not compacted yet, but oh, I kind of see what I need. And let's take a look at my base for a second. I'm gonna give you a little, this is a little advanced technique that might help you. All right, so you might notice up here that there's only one pipe going into this purification unit, but it's getting the 4 it needs, right? A very not an, I wouldn't say it's advanced, but a concept you can use is that crucibles pass through materials and fluids. Okay, so for example, this barium output is not directly connected. Barium powder output is not directly connected to this expanded crucible. You open it, you can. This reactor is not using barium powder. You can just set it to the output and send it on its way, and it'll get here to make hetonite. Right? That same concept applies to fluids. Okay, so reactors will pass on a fluid before it uses it. Okay, so if you pool a barium, pool your cuprium solution, it will just pass it on. Okay, so what it'll do, what we're doing, let's break this down. These two right side crucibles, they are making cuprium solution. Okay, they're making it. They're making cuprium solution. Why is the output here set to this? It shouldn't be anything. Anyway, they're making cuprium solution. So think of it as we need 4. Each one makes 1 cuprium solution. We need 4 for the purification unit. Each reactor makes 1. This is its one output. So you track this down. 1, 1, 1. This is a bridge. 1. This one is making 1. Okay, so 1 from the right, 1 from the top. You now have 2 traveling along this little line. You see this? 0, 2. That's 1. That's both of these combined, moving every 2 seconds. Every second. It's every second. Every second. Pipes are kind of weird. It's moving it's getting 1 every 2 seconds. So that's why you see it going up and down. Because it's technically getting 1 a second, but we're working, but it's getting both at once. So that's why you see that. Now, that comes into here, and you see it's not pooling. It's not pooling because pipes move at 2 a second. This is generating at 1 every 2 seconds, or a half a second, okay? Because you gotta do your time, get your time right. So if we're operating in the pipe world, this is actually moving at 4 units every 2 seconds. 1 for each crucible. Each crucible is making 1 every 2 seconds. 1, 2, 2 on this pipe. It can move 2 of those. It has a capacity of 4. So we send it into this crucible, because this crucible is also going to send out cuprium solution, right? So it's bringing in solution, and it's making its own, and then sending it on its way. So coming out of here is 3 units every 2 seconds. It's just holding steady, though, but don't worry about that. It's because of the pipe length. So this is 3 every 2 seconds coming out of this thing, okay? That's a converger. So 1, 2. This is making the 3rd and gathering the 2 and sending it onwards. Then it hits a converger here, where the same one making hetonite. Okay, this is a huge thing. These can do more than 1 reaction at a time. That's what the expanded crucible tutorial was for. It was to explain that to you, because it has 8 slots. So separate this from hetonite. It's doing its own cuprium solution. Okay, so it's also making cuprium solution and then sending it out of the yellow pipe, right? And it's converger. So now this is 1, 2, 3 out of the pipe, combined with this one, 4. That's our 4. And it goes in. Bam. Right? Easy peasy. So to make this, so this is your setup. But now, with what we just talked about, what can we do? Oh, let me do this actually like that. And like that. What can we do? Oh, Senna, I've been paying attention for the last however long. You can change all these ports to cuprium at the bottom. Right? And take the other ones to empty. And now what can you do? Connect. 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 Oh, shoot, Senna, I got my 4. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you fucking do it. I'm very proud of you. We got it. So this is your setup, right? And you're looking at this like, damn, this shit kind of crazy. But this is your setup. This is what you're working with. All right. Now, one more thing we do need to address is this purification unit. Now, this does give its own asset that you could run back into the system. Do not worry about that for right now, okay? I don't want you to worry about that. That is a more advanced technique. Don't worry about it, because then you're splitting. Your pump can be overfilled, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about that. So do one of two things. Either you route this one back. Actually, you don't route it back. This is what we'll do for now. How do I say that? How do I explain this? It can either be routed back into one, or it can go to the, get dumped. I just dump it, because it's easier to work with. The pumps already give you 2. So what I do is I just run it out. Here, I'll show you. So this is mine. This is the purification unit. This is the line of acid. Don't worry about this little setup, but it goes into this conduit inlet right here. See this conduit inlet? This conduit inlet. Oh my god, hold on. Remap. Track. It's over there. You can see it. Huh. This conduit inlet goes to this conduit outlet into a fluid supply unit. You probably forgot about this damn thing, didn't you? Don't lie to me. Don't lie. You forgot about this thing. But it dumps it back into the river. Alright? Dealt with. So this thing doesn't... I think the developer is going to put it in eventually, but for now, we'll just do this. We'll just put a water tank down. A fluid tank. And this will kind of serve as our... whatchamacallit. Now, you can draw on this. You can press C and draw. And it'll fill in. You double click, and you can type in here something. So we'll say 2 fluid supply unit. Check mark. And make it yellow. That looks kind of weird. Yeah, let's move this down a bit, like that. Right? Okay, now let's go back to my base for a second. I'll show you something else. I'm gonna speed you up a little bit on what you'll have to do. Now we talked about, let's see, on our diagram we have 5 reactors, right? You'll probably see a lot of people do this because you'll see a lot of people do this. So there's 5 reactors, but I only have 4, and I'm making this work. Because remember this guy. This guy is doing double duty, right? Quick aside, same process is happening here. This is pulling double duty. It's making Yazan for me. They can do more than one. As long as you have the output ports and the input ports, it can do more than one. In our diagram, remember, we didn't have this. We just have this one coming in of acid. So you have a free input port and a free output port, right? Even after you connect it, right? So that's why I do the double here of bringing this down instead of sending it directly in, because I want to save reactor space and make Yazan in here. It's kind of bootleg. You see how it comes all the way down. But I did the same thing with Ferium powder. It just passes the powder along into the back one to make something extra, right? So that saves you space. So let's look at it on our diagram. If we're like, okay, let's save some space now, right? I get it, Senna. I get it. I get it. Cool. Let's save some space. What do we do? Because this is what can get complicated. This is what kind of hurt my brain for a while. What we'll do is this. We'll move this guy over. Right? And we'll take this purification unit. Okay, we can't do this. So we're like, oh shoot, but I'm missing a port. Which one is is it yellow? Yeah. Senna, I'm missing a port. Both of them are taken up. You're right. Get creative. Use what you know. Okay? You know, in this thing, you need acid, but you do not need other cuprium blood. So could do something like this. Wow, Senna, I know I need acid. And actually, yeah, I'm gonna do this for now. I need acid, and I need pink. Okay, but I still want to do all 4 of these grouping together, so you can just route this through your little maze and put a converger down, and then you route it up and in. Bam. Right now, you take this, our Farium powder that we know we need, and you just route it in. Okay? That's it. You route it in. And then, make sure you get everything from here, though. We have to get our sewage, right? So, we set this port to sewage, then you connect it. Set your port to Hetonite out. Protocol stash. Bam. Okay, so you got, it looks a little janky, but you see it now, I hope. Let's do this. Okay, something like that, right? So I'm not doing this to show you exactly how to do it, but this is what you'd be working with. You have, oh, what the heck? Why is it so high up? You have all. Oh, whoa, one more thing. I'm sorry. The piss out. Okay, so something like that, right? We're not going to reroute that back in. You could, like, if you're thinking, Senna, I can do it, bro. All right, go ahead. You can route this back in. And you just clog up on your acid, but who cares, right? Who cares if this thing clogs? Like, who cares? But I prefer to route it out and into the garbage. So we're going to do it like that, okay? So now, the reason why I do that is because you want to make sure that you have everything you need before you get complicated. Because when you get complicated, you have to know what you're doing, all right? But this is everything you need to make Hetonite, right? And what you'd really do is you're like, oh, Senna, I want to make Hetonite part. I want to make the gear. And I'm like, you want to make the gear, bro? And you're like, yeah, bro. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, we always know gearing comes from the gearing unit, so let's go back to our sheet. Shit, I don't know if I want to come back to this thing. Yeah, let's make a new one. So we already know what we need for Hetonite. So we'll say Hetonite gear component. I call these things gear components. You're like, oh man, I don't have a gearing unit. I just want to see what it is. All right, cool. Or you can't find it. You don't know where building it, what it's in. You go into your little thingamajig, your old watch. You go to database. You go to item files, and you search for Hetonite. Oh, there it is, Hetonite component. Actually, you wouldn't even do that. You'd go further out. You're like, oh shit, I just want to make some gear. Where is it? Hetonite component? What the heck? Oh, that's what I need. Okay. Database. Gearing unit. Alright. So let's start the process. You know the process. What are we doing over here? I gotta remember what the process is myself. So I'm gonna use this as an example because I already forgot this. The layout we did. Hetonite gear component. 1 gearing unit. Oh, it didn't copy it over as a bulleted list. All right, whatever. I'll do it myself. Fine, I'll do it myself. 1 gearing unit needs 2 Hetonite part, 2 heavy shearonite. And you're probably thinking at this time, oh, what the fuck, heavy shearonite? Yeah, yep, same. Hetonite component. Forge of the Sky, and we're like, oh, where does this come from? Forge of the Sky. Fitting unit. Alright. I'm not doing heavy shearonite right now. We're just gonna stick with this for a second. Okay. Hetonite part. Where does Hetonite part come from? Click on the little thing right here. Hetonite part. One fitting unit, right? Needs 5 Hetonite. And we know that comes from the expanded reactor, right? Gives 1 Hetonite part, which goes to the gear component. All right. So I'm not going to do this is an example to help you. So I'm not going to do the whole Forge of the Sky thing. Actually, you know what, dude? Let's do it. Because it's actually, I'm going to show you the short way. Now, I'm going to assume you have Forge of the Skies running already. If you don't have Forge of the Skies running, you got to figure that out with this method. But we're going to just assume that's already running for a second here, okay? You can hold control to do this, to put down more than one at a time. Okay, so heavy Hetonite. One Forge of the Sky needs shoot, Senna. I don't know. Yeah, me neither. Let's go find out. Needs 5 zircon effluent. Oop. Excuse me. Where does zircon effluent come from? Reactor crucible. Expanded crucible. Also needs 10 Hetonite. That's crazy, ain't it? Forge of the Sky. Okay? Now, we're not going to do the entire Forge of the Sky because that's just too much right now. Gives heavy Hetonite, which goes into the gearing unit. All right? Now, let's do zircon effluent. 1 expanded crucible needs, what does it need? Let's find out. Now this is much simpler than it's much simpler than it looks, okay? We're just making a heavy Hetonite. We're not making batteries. That when you do batteries at the same time, that's when it gets confusing or more complicated, but just for this example, I'm just making zircon, all right? We're not making batteries. This is what's in my base actually. But we'll come back to that in a second. All right, so we are making, it needs what? It needs 1 liquid Hetonite and 1 sewage. Ding ding, something should go off in your head here. Hey, wait, this thing needs sewage? Yes, sir, it does. But hey, doesn't my Hetonite stuff make sewage? Yes, it does. You can recycle this bad boy. We're not gonna get into that right now though. Gives 1 zircon effluent and 1 inert zircon effluent. Okay. Now, where's all this come from? I think at this point you probably already know this all comes from the reactor. So it's all reactor. 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 Reactor and reactor, right? Okay, so I'm not going to explain all this. I'm going to assume you know all this already. If not, you should have the tools now to figure it out, but I'm going to show you what this looks like. Because I'm talking, yeah. Because I've been talking about how this base, you can, like the decentralization and stuff. Okay, this is it. This right here is all you need to make heavy Hetonite. You need 3 Hetonite unloaders because and you pass, open it up, and pass it along. But you have to put 2 belts. It needs to move 2 at a time. Because the Forge of the Sky needs to. Remember the passer we talked about down here? It can pass stuff through. Same concept works here. Alright, now this is more advanced, like more intermediary, but advanced, I don't know, whatever. So that's that. Now, you need to make liquid shearonite, right? Like, oh, I gotta make liquid shearonite. Okay, what's liquid shearonite? I'm making it with shearonite and clean water. So you need 1 shearonite in. So because there's 3 coming in, it overfills, and it can make its own. That's why it's filled up like that. Then you're like, oh, I need sewage. And you're right. You can bring sewage over from a cuprium refinery. That's what I'm doing here. This is the smaller setup, but it's bringing it over. So it needs 1 sewage every 2 seconds. This produces 1 sewage every 2 seconds. It's that easy, baby. It's that easy. Just run this shit over a wall. All right. If you can't, put it in a conduit somehow and run it over through a conduit inlet. Have it come out through a conduit outlet. Then you get your zircon effluent out and your inert out, and you can send the effluent in the yellow. Oh, I'm sorry. In the yellow, right up to your Forge of the Sky, and now you're making heavy shearonite. And you send it onto a loader. Don't try. You can try if you want, but I don't fuck around with trying to make this thing work and go all the way across the map. Into a loader, comes out of the loader. That's what's coming out. That's what's supposed to be coming out of here, but I turned it off. I need to set it back. Like that. Alright. So that's what's coming out. And it routes into this crucible. Don't worry about all this. It routes, oh, I'm sorry, into this gearing unit. It goes down. This is a splitter. Down, splitter, into the gearing unit. Okay? It's that simple. And then you make sure you gotta deal with your stuff, right? You gotta deal with your inert. It goes into, I'm doing something else. Don't worry about this. It could go into a water treatment unit. You ever look at this thing? You ever look at your formulas? Oh, hey, look what it can get rid of. Inert zircon effluent. Ain't that crazy? So, that could be your heavy shearonite setup if you want. We're going to use that. That's just for the example, right? God, I'm tired now. So, we're going to finish this up quick. So, once again, we're not building it in-game yet because we don't want to tear our shit down and lose production and frustrate ourselves. Alright, so. First thing we'll do, get our building. So we wrote down every building we need, right? So we need a gearing unit. We need a fitting unit. Fitting units all make parts. Gearing units all make gear components. We need a Forge of the Sky, and we need a Crucible. That's it. Those are the 4 buildings we need. Right? Now, we also know that this fitting unit needs Hetonite. So we put it here. Nope, jumped ahead. Gearing unit. What does our gearing unit need? We're making this guy. Put that. Forge of the Sky is making heavy shearonite, set that, and the expanded crucible, we are making liquid shearonite, so clean water and shearonite. Oh, I forgot clean water, whatever. Here, I'll put it here. Alright, so I'm gonna bootleg that because I'm getting tired, so it's gonna go downhill very quickly here. So I'm gonna try to wrap this up for you. But we know we need the Hetonite. Oh, we got ahead of ourselves. So we need that, and we need the zircon effluent. Okay, so like that. You can route this up, and you can route this up, and that's our Hetonite. That's our part. Done. So we got half of it in. Now with heavy shearonite, we do. Remember what I said? You need 3 of them because the Forge of the Sky itself needs 10 every 10 seconds, right? You get 1 item every 2 seconds out of the depot loader. So you need 5. You need, excuse me. 1 belt can only give you 5 of them in 10 seconds. So you need 2 belts. of Sheeranite. Cuprium or zircon effluent is 1 every 2 seconds, but you only need 5, so that balances out, right? So let's go and get our depot loader. You can set this as Sheeranite and then copy and paste it. Alright. Oh, this is gonna look janky, that's right. And you can do this. Set your output ports to Sheeranite. So you're sending 2 and you're keeping 1. So it'll send too much here, and then it will overfill in here and send 2 forward. Alright, so like that. And then you're gonna set zircon effluent like that and connect it. Is it on the other side? Yeah. Connect it. Get your water treatment unit. Place it down. Set your port. Connect it. I should have did ports first. Alright. And then we gotta bootleg it real quick. Fluid pump. We'll do it like this. Do it kind of over the wall. Water in. And this is a way to bootleg it as a stand-in. Just do a conduit outlet. Like this. And set the port to sewage. And it'll do that. Alright. So now you also have your heavy Sheeranite. That looks a little janky. There you go. So this is what it would kind of look like, right? If you had it all together. Now, you could do something like this. Where you run your sewage from one of your cuprium refineries. That's what's going on here, right? I'm recycling this sewage. Instead of sending it to a treatment unit that costs 50 power, I'm just using it to make heavy Sheeranite, right? Or, I'm sorry, to make zircon effluent, right? So you can do something like that as well. I got really far into this and really far off track from where I started. I don't know. I hope it helped. You know what? 2025 resolution recurring in 2026 is stop saying I'm sorry and just thank you for listening this far. Thank you. Okay. I hope it helped you. I know it's still probably really confusing, but I hope what I showed you of writing it down and using something like this blueprint can really help you understand where you're starting at, right? So, because now you can move all this around. I mean, you see how tight mine is, kind of. You see how tight mine kind of fits in here. You could do something like this, right? You can get how you want to do it. But I hope this helps when it comes to understanding what's going on with these output and input ports, what's going on with like these multiple, how you can save on some space a little bit by doing like your Yazan in another reactor as well, right? Like this I was showing you. You can throw that in there. And you can have some clean water. You can split off. I'm just going to bootleg this for a second, but you'd like split off some clean water to come in. And now you're making Yazan solution, right? So get creative with stuff like that. The factory rewards you for how much time you want to put in, how much creativity you want to get out of it. So if you don't want to do all that, hey bro, don't. Remember, you do not have to be ultra efficient, okay? If you really just want to do fucking this, where you have one line like this, and you got this bad boy. Yeah, I switch this. You do it like this, right? In sewage. Right? And then you got this sewage coming out and going up. Let me go around like this, though. Bro, get out of the way. Ah! There we go, like this, right? Hey, lock in place. There you go. Lock in, sewage line. And you got this running up, and you got just this. You got just this running. It's running slow as shit, bro. It ain't making it fast at all. It's making it what, 6 a minute or 3 a minute is the max. What's 3 divided by 2 is 1.5 divided by 2 is 0.75. It's making this shit at 0.75 is every 2 seconds, or 2.75 a minute or some shit. I don't know. A Hetonite itself overall, fuck it. You got it working. You can work out the rest of it later of how to expand. You do what you have to do. You want to just do 2 of them to get it working? You want to do something like this? That up here, this little small setup. You just want 2 running, bro. Do what you want. All right. Don't stress yourself out over this. Trying to make whatever the fuck I got going on. You see all this? This is like 200 hours of work, man. Okay. If you don't want, not saying it's gonna always take you 200 hours, but when you see people making these crazy stuff, they're getting paid on YouTube to do this, or you're getting paid to do it at work. Definitely not me. But like, they're spending a lot of time. So don't compare yourself to me. Build where you're at, right? Use because what I want is for you to see this and be like, oh, so that made sense with this 1.5 hour long video. And I'm like, great. So when you look at Keostin 5's video, or some rando on Reddit tells you, oh man, just copy a blueprint. You're like, okay, I ain't copying a blueprint, but I will look at it. I look at other people's builds all the time to find out stuff. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could do double heavy shear knight in this already. I didn't know you could do it while still making a battery. Some random guy said you could do it, and I was like, what the post was like, you can do 12 a minute, which is double heavy shear knight. It's a hassle. And I was like, is it? This shit is, wait, you can do that? Like, you can do that to begin with? It wasn't a hassle for me. I got into NCAD. I don't think I have it on here, do I? Yeah, I did. I got in here and built this shit, bro. I got in here and built it. And I was like, is that easy? My stuff is decentralized, so it's a little differently, right? It's a little different. And I got in here and built it. Then I put it in game. Right? That's what I want you to be able to do. Maybe not on that level. Not that fast. But I want you to be able to see something, or see someone say something. You're having a real discussion about factory. And then you can do it yourself, right? Might take you a while, it might be a little rough, but you can do it because it's so rewarding. I'm so proud of this shit, dude. I love just walking around. I run this damn thing all the time. Yeah, but you see me running on it all the time now, but I'm proud of it, and it gives me a real sense of satisfaction, and I can make whatever I want. They throw anything at me in this game, I'll figure it out now because I love it. I'm here for the love of the game. Like, I love walking through this, man. Look at this. Look at this. I made this not realizing it would look this cool. I stand here, boy, look at that. Look at that. That shit looks cool as hell, man. So anyway, that's what I want you to be able to do. So, you know, in the future, you can do that kind of thing. But I hope this helps. Thank you for getting this far. And I will do timestamps at least of just when I get into actually teaching versus the yapping at the start. Which I guess if you got this far, you already know that. So there it is. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, good night.